Nama Shrishtam Manamapi Shachiputram Atra Surupam Rupam Tasyagrajamuri Purim Maturim Goshvatim Radha Kundam Giribaram Ahoradikam Harvasam Rakto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Sri Guru Tam Natos Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah Anandalilamaya Vigrahaya Hema Bhadivyatschavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Chittasta Kamani Karam Kamali Kripa Maikam Sharanam Prapadam Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vrindam Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vrindam Govinda Namo Dharamadavedhi Govinda Namo Dharamadavedhi Govinda Namo Dharamadavedhi Govinda Namo Dharamadavedhi Hey Krishna, Hey Radha, Hey Sakhi Govinda Namo Dharamadavedhi Sham Sundar Shikhanda Shikhar Smarhas Murali Manora Radhikar Skamama Kripanidhi Sapriya Charna Kinkarim Kuru Tavaivasmi Na Jivami Tayavina Iti Vikyaya Devi Tam Namaham Charantikam. First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers thousands and thousands of times at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmadiya Paramaradhatama Guru Pada Padma, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad, Ashtotara Satashisimad, Rupanuga Acharya Varya, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev, to Srila Prabhupada and all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Panchakalpataru. Can we just is something offering going on behind? That's it. Okay. today we want to take this opportunity to discuss a very important verse revealed by our most dear Srila Rupa Goswami Pad in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Though this verse is extremely important and also well known, but it is not very widely or clearly understood. The verse describes the paripati, that means the method of Raganuga Bhakti. So in this regard, there's a great deal of confusion. So it's our sincere hope that today, if anyone here has some confusion at all, if there's anything unclear or vague about the understanding of this verse, then by the end of our class today, I pray that there will be zero confusion and everything will be crystal clear. As you know, Bhakti, Uttama Bhakti, is divided into three portions, three stages. Is there a volume control in the next room?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Hare. So Uttama Bhakti is divided into three stages: Sadhana Bhakti, Bhav Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. So the first stage is Sadhana Bhakti, devotional service in the stage of practice. Kuti sadhya bhagat sadhya bhavasa sadhana vida nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakatyam vidhi sadhita. It is the engagement of the senses in the various angas, the limbs of devotional service, such as hearing, chanting, remembering, serving the deity, serving the spiritual master, for the express purpose of attaining Sadhya Bhav, the goal of Rati, the Sthayi Bhav, that is the foundation of our ecstatic emotional relationship with Sri Krishna. So, Srila Rupa Goswami wants to clarify that this Rati or this Bhav is not generated by sadhana, but it's eternally perfect. And it exists in the heart of Krishna's eternal associates. But the potential of sadhana is that by practicing hearing, chanting, remembering, then the heart becomes purified and becomes suitable for the appearance of the vritti, that is the function of their love, of the eternal associates, to make its appearance in our heart, just as we can say that Prem, the love that they have, is like the sun, and one ray of that sun may touch our chitta and cause the chitta to melt with very intense desire to attain our Ishtadev, to render favorable services to our Ishtadev, and have a very intimate, friendly relationship with our Ishtadev. So, Nitya sadhana is that which has the potential to bring about Nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakatyam vritti satyata, the manifestation of that already eternally perfect mood of the eternal associates should make its appearance in our heart. That stage is called Bhav. So Bhav is not a phenomena of this world, it's not a material object, but rather it is the Savriti. It is the essence of the function of Samvit Shakti and Ladini Shakti, Krishna's consciousness potency and pleasure potency combined together. So all sadhan, the goal of sadhana bhakti is to attain this bhav. Now sadhana has two types. Yatta raganavaptatvat pravichi upajayate shashanena vishastasya savaidi bhakti uchite. When a person is not impelled by taste, they are not impelled by taste naturally, but rather by calculation, by logic and reason, by deliberation upon the instructions of the scriptures, which say, you are not this body, this world is a place of suffering, all the living entities who are neglectful of, indifferent to God, they will become entangled in karma and go to hell, etc. So understanding all of these things and knowing that it's one's duty, because Jivera Swarupe Krishna and Nityadas, the soul by nature, by Swarup, is a servant of God, therefore it's our duty to serve. So for these reasons, hearing the logic and reason of the Shastra, a person being afraid of material existence, engaging themselves in hearing, chanting and remembering according to the rules and regulations outlined in scripture. So this is called Vaidhi Bhakti. However, something very important here. Yata rag anavaptatvat. The person has not attained rag. Now here the word rag does not mean they haven't attained the rag, which is the spontaneous, unquenchable thirst to loving thirst to serve Krishna, which is accompanied by the total absorption in thoughts of Krishna. That rag is in the eternal associates. In this context, in defining Vaidhi Bhakti, yatta rag anavaptatat, they have not attained rag. In the commentaries, our acharyas have said here, rag means they have not attained ruchi in that rag. They have not attained taste for the attachment of those eternal associates. What does that mean? When one is chanting the holy name and gradually realization is unfolding of Krishna's form, qualities, and then associates, then when one begins to realize that how the associates of Radha Krishna are serving them in the heart, then the cool moon-like rays of their rag begins to shine onto one's heart. And then one feels, I want to serve in the wake of that. Srila Jiva Goswami gives the example of a crystal. When the rays of the moon shine and illuminate the crystal, and the crystal becomes illuminated. So similarly, the devotee was in that stage of their Nam Bhajan, where they're realizing Krishna's Nam, Rup, Gun, the next stage is Parikar. Then, when they're focusing on those, remembering those Parikars, then the moon-like rays of their rag illuminates the crystal of their Shuddha Antakaran, their pure Chitta. And they feel ulas, they feel a great joy. And when Sravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam is impelled by that joy, that ruchi in the rag, then it's not called Vaidhi Bhakti anymore. That is Raganuga Bhakti. Right? So, if we want to clearly understand Raganuga Bhakti, we must approach the two verses given by Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. It's a very wonderful thing that when Srila Rupa Goswami in Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu wants to explain Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, he gives only two verses. So if you're reading through Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, you say, oh, wonderful, now I've come to the section on Raganuga Bhakti. You read two verses and go, is that it? Where's all the other details that we need to know? It's like that. Many devotees have that experience. But this is the thing. Everything that you need to know is in those two verses. There's nothing missing. There's nothing missing. It's all there. If a person actually understands Tattva Siddhanta, understands the language of Rupa Goswami, everything is clear in just 2 verses. The problem only arises when the devotee isn't qualified, they don't understand Tattva Siddhanta. Then they read these 2 verses and say, oh well, there's so much missing here. He didn't explain how do you get your Siddhadeha. He hasn't explained that. Why didn't he tell that? Actually, he's told everything. But he hasn't told it in such a way that neophytes who know no Tattva Siddhanta can understand. So people are left thinking, well, there's got to be more to this. How do you get the spiritual body? Surely to being in this, someone will have to explain and describe it to you. Whatever. So these kind of ideas and speculations come about, and if we consider it carefully, we'll see that it's quite absurd that Sri Krishna appears in this world once in a day of Lord Brahma. Right? Once in every 8 billion, more than 8 billion years. And then just after Sri Krishna appears, and Krishna appears with the express purpose of inspiring the path of Raganuga Bhakti in this world. And then just after that, Sri Krishna appears again in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in order to show by his own example and teach through his associates how to follow Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti to attain his eternal pastimes in Braja. And Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only gives 8 verses about the chanting of the holy names, how to progress in the chanting of the holy names. That's also complete, because Nam reveals everything. But specifically, Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu empowered Rupa Goswami to fulfill his manobhishta, his innermost heart's desire of revealing to the world the path of Raganuga Bhakti. Now, what are the chances that the one person, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, empowers to reveal the details of Raganuga Bhakti once in a day of Lord Brahma, then just drops the ball and forgets to actually explain it properly? Never mind. 8 billion years later, there'll be another chance. Right? So those who think that Srila Rupa Goswami's 2 verses don't give a complete explanation, then they're more or less saying, well, Rupa Goswami dropped the ball and maybe he'll get it right next time. Right? So it's really not like that at all. So Srila Rupa Goswami gave 2 verses, and these 2 verses are related to each other. Our acharyas, in their commentary, they explain this is paripati, it's a method. Part 1 and then part 2. So the first verse is very famous. Krishnam smaran janam chasya prastam nija samihitam tattakatar taschaso kurid basam braje sada. It means, the structure of the verse is not in the order that you would expect for the syntax in English. So in Sanskrit literature, they have a system called Anvay. Anvay means when the words in the verse are rearranged in the natural order that you would say them if you were just explaining to someone. So here, Krishnam smaram janam chasya prastam nija samihitam. The word prastam is adjective to Krishna, and nija samihitam is adjective to janam chasya. So it's prastam, Krishnam smaram. One should remember that Krishna, that form of Krishna that is most dear. But cha, along with nija samihitam janam, along with the associates who are nija samihitam, they are your own, you have chosen those associates, they are the embodiment of the mood that you are aspiring for. Understand? So here, prastam krishnam smaram nija samihitam janam. So these are the 2 aspects. Remember Krishna, who is most dear to you, and remember Krishna not alone, but along with those associates who are worshipable for you, who are the object of your desire, in whose footsteps you aspire to follow. And tat katar taschaso, you should be absorbed in hearing the katha which describes the beautiful, loving relationship between your beloved form of Krishna and the associates in whose footsteps you aspire to follow. Hear their katha and Koryat Vasam Braje Sada, and always reside in Braja. If you cannot reside in Braja physically, then at least mentally, in the mind, you should think, I am staying on the bank of Jamuna, in the lap of Giriraj Govardhan. So, this is the first verse of the two verses describing Raganuga Bhakti Sadhana. Now, the second verse is here on the board, so we can chant it together. Seva sadaka rupena siddha rupena chatrahi tad bhava sunakarya vajalokanusarata. Again. Seva sadaka rupena siddha rupena chatrahi tad bhava sunakarya vajalokanusarata. Seva sadaka rupena Siddha rupena chatrahi tad bhava sunakarya rajalokanusarata. Jai CC Sachidanand Gauri. Now the next of Sri Rupa Goswami's two verses. Seva, one should render service. Who? Brajalokanusarata. One who aspires to follow, one who is a follower of the Brajalok, the residents of Braj, should serve in two ways. Seva sadhaka rupena, by their sadhak form, that is yathastik deha. That's the body that you are situated in. This is this body. Here is your sadhak form, the form as a practicing devotee. Seva sadhaka rupena. Siddha rupena chatrahi. And also, one should serve by Siddharup, the perfected, the form of an associate, which is the very body that you aspire to be situated in when you attain your perfection, the Siddharup. Now, in order to understand these two verses clearly, there are two concepts that must be very clear. The first one is, what is Smaranam? And the second one is, what is Siddharup? So we'll begin with Smaranam because the first verse is on that subject. Krishnam Smaram, remember Krishna along with his associate. Generally, we translate the word smaranam as remembrance. So in English, we know what the word remembrance means, right? It's when we look inside our own mind and we dig up something that we've experienced from before, right? So, how can you do that with Krishna? Have you experienced Krishna before? Narad Muni, he describes in Srimad Bhagavatam that the material mind cannot produce anything it has not experienced before, either in this life or in a previous life. So if a person has not experienced Krishna, then they cannot actually remember Krishna. They can remember some words about Krishna, some ideas about Krishna, some paintings of Krishna, so on. But actually Krishna, it is another thing. So, what is Smaranam? For that we'll have to come to the very precise definitions of each anga of bhakti. Our Srila Jiva Goswami Pad, most prolific author. Perhaps you know that the Mahabharata is 100,000 verses. It's the whole Iliad and the Odyssey can go inside Mahabharata several times. It's so huge. But Srila Jiva Goswami has written 400,000 verses. So it's superhuman. Srila Jiva Goswami Pad ki jai. It's mind-boggling, inconceivable. His level of genius is aprakrita, supernatural, beyond this world. And so he has very specifically and scientifically defined all the various aspects of Bhakti Tattva. So there, in his description of the angas of Bhakti, he begins by, after describing surrender to the spiritual master and service to Vaishnavas, then he comes to the first anga of Bhakti after that, which is Sravanam, hearing. He said, Pratamam namna Sravanena antakaranam shuddhyatam apeksham shuddhecha antakarane rupa Sravanena tadudoy yogyata bhavati. In the beginning, the ability to hear the name of Krishna depends on the shuddhata, the purity of the antakaran. Karan means senses. So you have bahikaran, external senses, and then you have antakaran, your internal sense. So that is your subtle body. Specifically the chitta. Then some contamination of the chitta is ahankar. And transformation of ahankar is manas and buddhi. They are respectively sattvic and rajasic transformations of ahankar. So because ahankar itself is a contamination on the chitta, therefore shuddha antakaran means shuddha chitta. That chitta in which the predominance of mind, intelligence and ego has been dissipated, so the chitta has become clean, it has become steer, it has become steady, it has become nirvikar, not oscillating. So he's saying, in the beginning, one cannot hear the name properly. But if one goes on chanting and hearing again and again, without committing offense, the Chaito Darpana Marjanam, the chitta starts to become clean, and then you can really begin to hear the name. What does it mean when we're hearing the name? That means that our conception of life, which is already inverted, is turned the right way up. Our inverted conception of life is that we are the doers, that we are the enjoyers, that we are the knowers, we are the knowers and seers of things. So our conception of life is upside down. Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, Naiva kinchit karomi iti. A person whose consciousness is pure, when they are standing, sitting, walking, talking, opening and closing their eyes, eating, they know that only the senses are engaged with their objects and they are doing nothing. So when the chitta becomes steady, this dizziness, we can call it a dizziness, because Sri Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam gives another example. Like a child was spinning around, round and round, and then they fell over, and then when they fell over they saw that all the world was turning. Right? The world was not turning, that's their dizziness. They're still, but they're thinking the world is turning. So the conception, ahankara vimudatma akatamiti manit, being bewildered by false ego, one thinks I am the doer. This is a kind of dizziness actually, because the soul is still, but his mind is spinning and giving him the impression that he's the doer. So once this false experience of life is eradicated, that means our conception, which is upside down, is inverted to the correct way, then the chitta is steady. That is a Shuddha Antakaran. At that time, even when what to speak of hearing others, when you are chanting, you experience that you are not chanting, because you are not the doer. What is happening? Sevan mukhi jivado swayameva sparatyadaha. Now Nam, he himself is appearing by his sweet will. So, then, when we have the experience that Nam Prabhu is coming to us, now we are really hearing. And the chitta is purified. In that stage, when one hears about the form of Krishna, Sucharu Vakta Mandalam Sukarna Ratna Kundalam Suchachitanga Chandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam. then when we hear about the form of Krishna, the heart is sufficiently purified to experience a spurti, an awakening of the form of Krishna in the heart. So, this is a very wonderful thing. You'll notice when you study the Vedic scriptures and Vaishnava scriptures, there are so many poems that just go on and on and on and on about Krishna's form. Oh Krishna, you are smeared with sandalwood paste, you have kasturi tilak, you are wearing a necklace of pearls, and you have elephant pearl from your nose, your head is decorated with peacock feathers, and your arms are decorated with bangles, and you're carrying a flute in your hand. So anyone who's just been a devotee for a few weeks will say, well, you already knew that. So why are all these Sanskrit prayers, like so many, and each acharya said the same thing over and over again? Kasturi tilakam lalata patle vakshitstale kostubam nasakre varamuktikam karatre venu karegamkanam. Like this. Why? It's not that these are for the neophytes who, just in case, like a wanted poster. Have you seen this man? He carries a flute and a peacock feather and he wears these pearl necklaces. It's not like that. These verses are not for the neophytes who keep forgetting what Krishna looks like. These verses are called Rup Dhyan. So it's a stage. Once the chitta has become purified and one is experiencing the appearance of the name, then when you take shelter, Rupa Shravanena Tad Udoyogyata Bhavati. When you hear these descriptions, then the form of Krishna begins to appear in the heart. So we should note here that at this stage, it's actually a reflection of Krishna's form appearing in the clean chitta. So this is explained in various places. If you look in the 3rd canto, there, Sri Kapil Dev describes the qualities of each element of the subtle body. So when he's describing the chitta, he says, Swachatvam avikaritvam shantatmam iti chetasaha. The quality of the chitta is pure chitta, not contaminated chitta. First quality is called swachatvam. It means clarity. This clarity, our acharyas in the commentary say, it means bhagavad bimba grahitvam. The ability to grahitva, to catch bhagavad bimba, the reflection of the form of the Lord. You see? So, the first stage of Sravanam is hearing and the heart becomes purified. The second stage of Sravanam is Rup Shravan, and it produces an experience because the chitta, which is now steady like a mirror, can catch the form of the Lord. Now that experience will come in the stage of Nishta. And when the form of Krishna has arisen in the heart, gradually, more and more clearly, it appears more and more clearly. Srila Vishnu Thakur in Ragavatma Chandrika illustrates this also with the verse from the 11th canto. Yatha yatatma parimrijate so matguna katha sravada bidane tata tata pasati vakstu shukshmam chakshur yataivanjana samprayuktam. Just as a person who has a disease of the eyes applies an ointment, and as that ointment is working, gradually things were previously a blur, even the very fine shukshma objects become visible and he can see them. So in the same way, as the heart is gradually purified by continual hearing and chanting and remembering, one gets clearer and clearer the vision of the abhas of Sri Krishna reflected in the purified chitta. So then, once the form of Krishna is clearly appearing, and it's called an avirbhav actually. In the 3rd canto also, there, the form of Krishna is called Chintamaya. And Srila Vishnu Thakur in his commentary said that the form of Krishna is Chintamaya means that it is the Dhyane Avirbhav. It appears in your meditation. And so when the devotee is chanting, then the form of Krishna appears, and as it becomes clearer, then Jiva Goswami Pad said, when that realization is complete, then Krishna's qualities appear. Qualities begin to appear. So that is also will happen in the stage of Nishta, but more advanced stage of Nishta. Then the stage of Ruchi comes. Ruchi is very fascinating stage. Why? Because sadhana bhakti, one of the first symptoms of sadhana bhakti is kleshagni. It destroys klesh. Everyone knows. So this klesh has three stages: pap, pap bij, and avidya. So pap means that your sinful karmas, reactions for sinful karmas are eradicated. The next stage is called pap bij, means that there are sins still present in the chitta. That means some samskars, impressions in the chitta that may in the future turn into pap, turn into a sinful activity, but right now those sins are in a seed form and they're dormant. As long as the heart, the chitta, is contaminated by the pap bij, though one may realize the vigraha, the form of Krishna, and some of his qualities are appearing, but the madhurya, his sweetness, his overwhelming sweetness, the heart cannot accommodate it in that stage. Therefore, Mukunda Goswami in his commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in describing the stage of ruchi, he says, ruchi papa bij nashad madhurya anubhavaha. The stage of ruchi or taste is the stage in which one realizes the sweetness of Krishna that which was arising due to the destruction of the papa bij. Understand? So let's say the devotee is not doing any sins and his future sins are destroyed also, but there's a little sanskar which is dormant, which could in the future manifest as a desire. But as he is absorbed in hearing, chanting and remembering, when those pap bijas are cleared out, now the heart, which could accommodate Krishna's form, like you see the vigraha is there, but with your eyes you don't see the softness of the vigraha. You don't smell the fragrance of the vigraha. These are all the qualities of the form. So the vigraha, you're seeing only the archa vigraha. So in the stage of nishta, when one hears and chants, one experiences what is called shabda archa, the sound vigraha. But the qualities are not coming in. So then the qualities begin to come, but until the pap bijas are destroyed, then the sweetness will not manifest. When the sweetness appears, and you taste that sweetness, that is called ruchi. Right? Is it clear what ruchi is? Ruchi means taste. So if it's a stage of taste, you have to be tasting something. Right? So what is that something that you taste? It is the madhurya anubhav, the sweetness of Sri Krishna. Now, in the stage of ruchi, along with the sweetness of Krishna, one's meditation broadens and one begins to realize the associates of Krishna. Now, what is the symptom that greed, which is the eligibility for Raganuga Bhakti, has awakened? Who remembers the definition of that stage where greed, which qualifies one for Raganuga Bhakti, has awakened? Tad bhavadi madhurye srute de yadapekshate nacha shastana yuktinja tal loba utpati lakshanam. This is the lakshan, the symptom of loba utpati, that a mature greed has awakened. Right? Actual greed. Not just a kind of interest. Or a real keenness. Or a fanaticism or enthusiasm for the idea of Raganuga Bhakti. But the actual eligibility for Raganuga Bhakti is a loba utpati, and it has a symptom. The symptom is the extrinsic characteristic is that your intelligence is no longer dependent on logic and reason, even shastric logic and reason. You know, because if you've experienced the taste of a rasagula, you don't have to read about it to inspire your desire to eat the rasagula. Right? Once you've had experience, it's just, you don't need, let me study rasagullas. What are the ingredients? There's some cardamom, and some sugar, and some... So that will not be... The greed comes from experience. There's no such thing as greed that doesn't come from an experience. So here it said, Tatad bhavadi madhurye srute. Upon hearing about the sweetness of the relationship between Krishna and his devotees, particularly the devotee you want to follow, then your intelligence is no longer waiting for, no longer dependent on logic, reason and scripture. Okay. Now, the word srute, on hearing, our acharyas have commented on that. The word here, srute, on hearing, means sravanam dwara kinchid anubhuti bhavati. Now, you may remember that when Jiva Goswami was describing the meaning of hearing, hearing means when your antakaran is purified, when you experience the name is coming, and you have an awakening of Krishna's form, and then his qualities, and then his associates. So when this said, upon hearing about the sweetness of the relationship of Krishna and his associates, it's referring to that.
Are you actually experiencing it?
Yes. Yes. And that's why, you see, because if you understand what the word Shravana means, then here, upon hearing about the sweetness of the associates' relationship with Krishna, it means that you've gone through the stages of Nam Sravan, Rup Sravan, Gun Sravan, and now you're doing Parikar Sravan. So that it's not, people read, when you hear about the sweetness of the associates and you no longer depend on logic, then you've got greed. People say, well, that's me. You know, I'm completely illogical. Everyone tells me I'm totally illogical. And I've heard something about the sweetness of the associates, so I'm qualified. So that's not what... First understand what the word Sravanam actually means and what the stages are. This is why the first 20 angas of bhakti, Guru Padasrai, Diksha, Guru Sevan, Saddharma Pritya Shiksha Sadhumag Anugamam, taking shelter of Guru, receiving Diksha, serving the spiritual master, following in the footsteps of the previous associates and so on. First 20 angas of bhakti, after describing them, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad said, these first 20 angas are Pravesh Dwara, to facilitate your entrance into the experience of bhakti. So in the first 20 angas of bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, they're not even described. Right? Because you're not really doing Shravanam and Kirtanam and everything. You haven't even entered into the experience of bhakti yet. That is the Pravesh Dwara. You see, that's why there's a certain confusion. Some people think that if you go, whatever, to Radha and then get your Siddha Pranali, you sit down, and now you try to imagine everything and visualize everything, you're doing Raganuga Bhakti, and that's internal. But the devotees who are going here and there on Nagar Sankirtan in Gainesville and distributing books, they're external. Right? No. The devotees who are serving in the mission of their Guru are going through the first 20 angas of Bhakti which prepare you to pravesh, to enter into the true experience. And if you'll just sit down somewhere full of anarthas trying to visualize Radha and Krishna, you'll just awaken your own sanskars of sex life and you'll never enter into bhakti. So that's not internal and this is not external. This is the path, the process which our great acharyas have shown us, by which one becomes qualified. You know, Srila Jiva Goswami didn't spend 24 hours a day chanting the holy name and serving in Siddharup. How did he write 400,000 verses? Right? He was also serving his Guru. All those books, that was his Guru Seva, his service to Rupa Goswami Pad. Right? And to write those books he had to amass a huge library. And for that he had to go here and there and send his disciples also here and there. You know? So, our Goswamis, there are in Raganuga Bhakti, there are two things mentioned here. Seva sadhaka rupena, siddha rupena. You have to also do some service in this body, people. Right? It's not all in the siddha rup. Raganuga, so, serving your spiritual master in this body is also Raganuga Bhakti. If the ultimate goal of that is that it's inspired by the desire to attain the rag of those associates. These so-called external activities, they're also Raganuga Bhakti according to the definition given in this verse. Understand? So, it's important to understand what is real Sravanam So here, tad bhavadi madhurye srute diryadapekshate. The acharyas say here hearing means sravanam dwara kinchit anubhuti bhavati. By hearing there should be anubhuti, realization. It's not just hearing. It's actual hearing. So to realize the sweetness of the relationship between Krishna and his associates is what stage of hearing? It is not Nam Sravan, Rup Sravan, Gun Sravan. It means you're in the stage already of Parikar Sravanam. Right? And then when you hear and you realize the sweetness, and the only way you can realize it is if your Papa Beach is destroyed. So you're not before the stage of Ruchi also. Right? So it's there in the verse, it's staring us in the face. If we actually look at the meaning of the words, not according to an English dictionary, I look up in the dictionary, what does remembrance mean? What does hearing mean? Look up in the dictionary. Hearing means when your eardrum is shaken by a movement of air molecules. Right? Right? So don't apply your English definitions of hearing, chanting and remembering to the writing of the Goswami, because the Goswamis actually have their own definitions of all of these things. And they've very, very clearly explained it in detail in their Bhakti Sandarbha and other scriptures. You see? So, now at the end of the description of hearing, Jiva Goswami Pad, he says, and the same principle applies to chanting, and the same principle applies to remembering. In other words, not only hearing, but also chanting and remembering unfold with a corresponding internal level of spurti, of Nam, Rup, Gun, and so on. So now, let's come to the subject of Smaranam. What does Smaranam mean? When Srila Jiva Goswami Pad is defining, he comes gradually to the anga, because he's explaining every anga one by one, so we can't get it wrong. In Bhakti Sandarbha, when he comes to the anga of Smaranam, the first thing he says is Shuddha antakarnas ched Smaranam kuryat. If the chitta, the antakaran, has already been purified by the previous practices of taking shelter of Guru, serving Vaishnavas, and hearing and chanting, then you can take up, it is one's duty to take up the anga of bhakti called Smaranam. So, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad never said, everyone's qualified to do Smaranam. As our Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur has written in his poem, Vaishnav K. Kirtana Prabhave Smarana Hoibe. By the power of Kirtan, one will become qualified to practice Smaranam. So the reason that the antakaran has to be pure before the practice of actual real Smaranam takes place is because the Smaranam real Smaranam is non-different from Spurti. So Nam Smaran means you can experience Nam, that you are not the karta, you are not mentally conjuring the Nam, but you begin to pray and you feel Nam is appearing in your remembrance. And then Rup is appearing in your remembrance. Then the Gun, the qualities are appearing in your remembrance. So it actually corresponds to internal revelation. So Srila Jiva Goswami emphasized this point so strongly by saying that unless the antakaran is pure, one is not even capable of Nam Smaran. He said, you can, what to speak of like trying to visualize a Leela or visualize Krishna's form. He said, without a Shuddha antakaran, you cannot even do the Nam Smaran. Not possible. Now, Srila Jiva Goswami describes what he calls Kram Sopan Riti. Riti means the convention, the conventional way of how you must do it. And Sopan means steps, and Kram means sequence. So he said Smaran must be done Kram Sopan Ritya, by the method or by the convention, following the methodology of sequential steps. Now, when he described hearing, He just said Nam, Rup, Gun, Parikar, Lila. He just said these 5 things. But when he describes Smaranam, then he tells us something, he adds something. It's very interesting what he adds and where he adds it. He says, the Kram Sopan Nritya, the methodology of sequential steps goes Nam, form, qualities, associates, seva. So Manasik Seva is an aspect of Smaranam that comes in between the spurti of the associates and the spurti of the Lila. Is that clear? Understand where it's placed. So when we're talking here about Seva Sadhaka Rupena Siddha, serving in the Siddha Deha, this Seva is a type of Smaranam. And it's the type of Smaranam which appears in between after your realization of the sweetness of the associates, but before your realization of the full-blown flow of the Lila. And therefore, this Siddha Rupena Chatri service by Siddha Deha is the sadhana by which one can enter into Lila Smarana. So that's why the internal services begin with Yoga Pit Seva. Yoga Pit Seva. That is called Mantramaya Upasana. And when that is mature, it will turn into the actual Lila Smaranam of Swarasiki Upasana. So, to make the samskars, to make the impressions which are favorable for that, and to inspire us to progress into that stage. So Sri Guru ties Krishna with the rope of love and makes him appear before our eyes in the form of Radha Govinda. And Sri Guru gives us Diksha mantras and teaches us how to serve the Vigraha of Krishna by offering arti, offering bhoga, giving bathing and decorating. Why? Because these are actually our introduction to the Yoga Pit Seva. And so that the Pancharatrik Marg in this sense is giving support to the Bhagavat Marg. The Vaidhi, the way that we are practicing Vaidhi under the guidance of our Gurus is exactly fine-tuned that it will dovetail seamlessly into our transition from Vaidhi Bhakti into Raganuga Bhakti. Yeah? Okay. So, Krishnam Smaran Janam Chasya Prastam Nija Samihitam. Now it's been established that what remembering Krishna along with associates really means. Now the question arises, how do you receive your Siddha Deha? Because Rupa Goswami is not openly saying that. Rupa Goswami has not written anywhere, go to your Guru and say, Gurudev, what are my 11 bars? Okay? So it's not written anywhere in any writing of the 6 Goswamis. And indeed, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that is part of another type of practice, which is Archan Pradhan, predominated by Archan, coming from Gopal Guru Goswami and Dhyana Chandra Goswami. But our 6 Goswamis didn't rely on that system. So what Rupa Goswami is told in these 2 verses is complete. Only we have to understand how it's complete. So in Bhakti Sandarbha, our Srila Jiva Goswami quotes a wonderful verse from the 10th canto, where Narad Muni, 11th canto, Narad Muni is instructing Vasudev Maharaj. And then Narad Muni, he said, Vairena Nyam Nripataya Shishupala Pondra Shalvadaya Gati Vilasa Vilokanade Dhyayanta Akrita Diya Shayanasanado Tat Samyamapur Anurakta Diyam Punakim. Narad Muni, he said, Oh Vasudev, demons like Shishupal, Pondrak Vasudev and Shalva, they always thought of Krishna. How? Vairena, with enmity. So enmity is also a kind of relationship. Right? Enmity is also, Krishna's my enemy. They have a certain type of possessiveness that is my enemy. So it's It's also a type of relationship. And when they were thinking of Krishna, how did they think of him? Gati vilasa vilokanadhyay. They were remembering how Krishna walks, his style of walking, his vilas, that means how he would play, and his facial expressions, vilokanadhyay, and his glancing, the movements of his eyes. Dayanta akrita dayashayanasanado. And how did Shalva, Shishupal and Pondrak remember? They were remembering all the time. Shayanasana, Shayana means when they're lying down. So when they went to bed at night, they lay down in bed and they were thinking, Krishna walks like this and he's dancing like that, smiling like this. Asana means when they were sitting comfortably, when they just sit around relaxing with their friends and family. All the time they were thinking of Krishna's gait, Krishna's smile, Krishna's glance, and so on. And what was the result of that? Dhyayanta akrita dhya. Dhyayanta means meditating. Akrita dhya. It means that their dhi, their chitta, akrita, assumed the form of Krishna due to absorption in him. So this is very commonly known if persons study the Yoga Sutras. There Patanjali said that when a person becomes free from the mode of ignorance and the mode of passion, and they're predominantly in goodness, then they attain a state called ekagrata, one-pointedness. The chitta is steady. So in that state of ekagrata, the chitta attains a quality or an ability which is quite astonishing. And that is that when you focus your concentration on something, the chitta transforms and exactly assumes the form of whatever you concentrate on. That's called, in the Yoga Sutras, that's called samapati. So, and that's how the yogis attain their mystic siddhis. It's not that the chitta only transforms to make like an image or a picture of that, it actually becomes that object. Because chitta is made of mahatattva, and everything in the universe is a transformation of that. And therefore your chitta can actually make anything, because it's the subtle potential energy from which everything is made. So let's say if a yogi says, go, and meditates on a cow, then his chitta will transform and actually become a cow, and he can examine and learn everything. And so the knowledge which comes by this method is called yogaja, knowledge coming from meditation, right? So there are two ways. Let's say the ancient experts in Ayurveda and herbal medicine, things like that. So there's one way of knowing about the stomach is to get someone and cut them open and look at all the parts. And then another way, a type of knowledge which is called yogaja, is that the yogi would just meditate on his solar plexus, and then all the organs would just appear, and his chitta would transform and become all those organs, and he could just investigate it and get knowledge that way. So that knowledge is called yogaja, and that skill is called samapati. So then, if someone, when that yogi is completely absorbed in that samapati, then whatever qualities have appeared in that object, they become his. And so that's how yogis get mystic power. So when the yogi is doing samapati on the element of air, then he takes the qualities of air and begins to levitate. So every single mystic power, whichever one it is, it's just a question of which object the yogi is doing the samapati on, and then he acquires the qualities of that object. So this is just common knowledge in anyone in Vedic culture. So here it said, because Shishupal, Pondra and Shalva were always thinking of Krishna, then Dayanta Akrita Diya, their chitta transformed and became exactly like Krishna's form. And therefore, because they always see Dwarkadish Krishna with 4 arms, I mean, Pandrak literally added some extra arms to himself and said, I am the real Vasudev, not you. Give up your weapons, you know. So, because their chittas transformed and became like Krishna's 4-armed form, they all attained Sarupya Mukti with 4-armed forms in Vaikuntha. So, in the last line here, the Narad Rishi is saying, Tat Samyam Prapuhu. They attained forms exactly like Krishna. Then he says, Anurakta Diyam Punakim. So what more can we say of the devotees who didn't hate Krishna as an enemy, but they were attached to him in love? Right? So, now this, Srila Jiva Goswami is quoting this verse to illustrate how Raganuga Bhakti works. So let's come back to our first verse of Rupa Goswami explaining the sadhana of Raganuga Bhakti. Krishnam smaram janam chasya. Remember Krishna, but with your main focus on the associate. Right? Now what will happen if your chitta is purified, Krishna's form is appearing, His qualities are appearing, His associates are appearing, and now you're focusing yourself fully on an associate. What will happen to your chitta? Akrita diya. It will transform and a form will appear in your chitta exactly like that associate. And that's called the Siddha Roop. So no one can give you that. No one can write it down on a piece of paper, here it is. Go and now speculate and create it in your mind. Not going to happen. You can only, if someone says you're a 12-year-old girl, you'll think of a 12-year-old girl you went to school with. That's all. And in your next life you'll become a girl. That's all. That will be the result of your so-called Raganuga sadhana, which is imitation. So just remember, now we're coming to this verse. So essentially, just to recap, the verse Krishnam smaram janam tasya, for one who understands tattva, when they read that, they say, oh, Rupa Goswami has just told us how we get our Siddha Roop. Right? That's what the verse is saying. How do you get your Siddha Roop? Clearly. And now in the next verse he's saying how you attain your perfection. Now you have to serve in that Siddha Roop, Brajaloka Anusarata, following the eternal associates. So, Saiva sadhaka rupena siddha rupena chatrahi. Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishnu Thakur have defined each of the words in this verse. So the word Siddha Roop has been glossed by the phrase Antas chintit abhistatat seva upayogi dehena, which means by the body, which is antas chintit. Seva upayogi dehena, abhishta, which is upayogi, exactly suitable for the services that you desire to render. It's a body which is exactly suitable for the desires you desire, for the services you desire to render. So it's abhishta seva yogi. Now what some people do is, they take the word abhishta and apply that to the body. Your siddha form is the body that you want. No, it's the body that's suitable for the services that you want. Right? There's a big difference. Because if you apply abhishta to the word deha, then it means that you don't have it, you're trying to imagine it, and by imagining it you get it. Right? But the word abhishta is applied to, it's abhishta seva upayogi, dehena. It's the body, actually, that you already have, which is suitable for the services that you want. Understand? It's a big difference. Now, let's look at the word antas chintit. Antas chintit. So everyone knows that generally devotees, antas chintit means, anta is inside and chintit means conceived. So it's an internally conceived or mentally conceived. Right?
Intrinsic.
So antas chintit does not mean mentally conceived. This is the whole problem. If we don't understand what smaran is, we can't understand the first verse. And if we don't understand what Siddha Roop is, we can't understand the second verse. So the Siddha Roop is antas chintit, mentally conceived. No, not mentally conceived. Okay. So anta here again means the antakaran. And it's the purified antakaran, because this verse is a progression from the previous one. Right? So you couldn't do the smaran without the purified antakaran. Okay. So anta means antakaran. Now what does the word chintit mean? So chintit means, the word chinta in Sanskrit has so many meanings. It can mean conceived. It can mean, chinta can mean worry. It can mean worry as well. And the word chinta also means reflected. So it's actually antas chinta, it's reflected in the chitta. And Srila Vishnu Thakur, in his Bhagavatam commentary, on the word saying that the form of God is chintamay, means it's an chinta here means it's an avibhav, it's an actual internal appearance. So if we're consistent with what Vishwanath Thakur is saying in regard to Chinta in the Bhagavatam, then when he's using Chinta in his commentary here, then we'll have to take it that Antas Chintit means the body which does an avirbhav, which is actually appearing. It's appearing in your meditation, like that. So Antas Chintit abhistatat seva upayogi dehina. If one follows the first verse, remembering the associates, then by being fixed on them, then there is the avirbhav of your Siddharup. And then you can serve in that Siddharup according to this verse. So there's, at no stage is there any imagination involved. There's no speculation involved. But what is involved is chanting the holy name without offense. Because without offenseless chanting, the opening of the name, because the name is a bij, it's a seed, and it opens Nam, Rup, Gun, Parikar, Seva, Lila. So, unless one chants without offense, the seed will not sprout. Therefore in Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said, Tabu jani aparada tohite prachur, Krishna nama bija tohi nakare ankur. If the seed of the name is not sprouting, then it's due to the presence of namaparad. You see? So it's very, very clear. If someone thinks, well, I'm doing Raganuga Bhakti, I'm qualified for Raganuga Bhakti, then the immediate question is, has the Nam Bij sprouted? Is the name giving you darshan of Krishna's form, qualities and associates? If it is, then yes. But if your Nam Bij has not sprouted and is not giving that experience, now trying to superimpose that experience onto your chanting with your mind is actually more Nam Aparad. It's more Nam Aparad. So those who are telling neophytes, this is your Swarup, now go away and remember it, instead of bringing them closer to their goal, they're actually taking them further away by giving them a sadhana which is actually Nam Aparad. Understand? Is it clear? No doubt? So, now we'll come to the Tatat Kataratas Chaso. One should be absorbed in the Katar about the associates. One praman which is used by those who try to promote the imitation of Raganuga Bhakti is this. In the Saranga Rangada Tika of Krishnadas Kaviraj, that's his commentary on Krishna Kanamrita of Srila Bilvamangal Thakur, he said, those devotees who are on Ragamarg progress through the stages of Anata Nivriti, Nishtaruchi, Asakti, and then talks like this. So taking that quote, they use this as proof that those who are on Ragamarg, it goes from Anata Nivriti. But you're saying that this sadhana is from Ruchi, so you are wrong, because Krishna Das Kaviraj is saying that in the stage of Anata Vritti you can do Raganuga Bhakti. Right? So, you may have heard this argument. But what he said here is, those who are on Raga Marg, they're on the path. It doesn't say those who are qualified to do the second stage of Raganuga Sadhana. So what does it mean to be on the path of Raga Marg? It means that your Shraddha is Lobhamohi. It's Lobhamohi Shraddha. You see? If you'll associate with those who are in the mood of Vaikuntha, you get faith, but that faith will be the seed of Vaidhi Bhakti. And if you associate with those who are Braj Rasik Tattvagya Rupanuga Vaishnavas, then from the beginning when you hear from them, your Shraddha will be Lobhamohi Shraddha, but it's not mature yet, as long as the anarthas are there. But slowly, slowly, that Lobhamohi, so you're on the Raga Marg, right? You're on the Raga Marg, but you have not gone in through the Pravesh Dwara yet, because the anarthas are still very prominent. So, that quotation doesn't mean that you can do meditation on your Siddhadeya in the stage of Anartha Nivritti. That's not what Krishna Das Kaviraj is saying. You'll only conclude that if you think that Raganuga Bhakti just means service in the Siddhadeya, but it doesn't. It means it means hearing, and then it means chanting, and then it means remembering the associates, and then after that. So all of it from the beginning, it's all Raga Marg. But you're not qualified for the later stages of mature Ragamart until the greed is mature. Like that. So, if someone approaches you with that kind of refutation, then this is the reconciliation of them. Now that for today, that's my Siddhanta for today. No more Siddhanta. Now I only want to speak about the sweet pastimes of our Radha Govinda. So don't be hearing a lecture. Now come with me to Vrindavan. Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopala, Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopala, Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopala, Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopala, Krishna Govinda Govinda What does it mean? Vrinda means samuha, the group, like Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Means the group. Avana means nourished. That place where every living entity is nourished with Prem. Even the Vedas, they are incapable of describing the glories of one blade of grass in that Vrindavan. Even in the Brahma Samhita, they already said that every step is a dance. Why is that? The implication is that if ordinary walking is like dancing, then what is the dancing like? We have no words to describe it. They already said in Brahma Samhita that every word, ordinary language is a song. The implication is, if the speaking is like singing, then what is the singing like? We cannot describe it. There the water is like nectar. Water is if the water is like nectar, then how delicious are the smoothies made by Chitrasakhi for Radha and Krishna? You know, she's the expert at making different flavored drinks for the divine couple. Remember that. So, how beautiful is that place? Chidanandam Jyoti. The light there is Chidananda. Just the light in the sky shining from the sun is made of Prem. So, if the light is full of Prem, what is the Prem like? Yeah? No words to describe. How beautiful is that Vrindavan? And when Sri Krishna at night goes into the forest and takes his bansi to his lips and begins to play, Braj Gopis hear that. They cannot check themselves. One gopi was stringing a garland, and hearing the sound of Krishna's flute, she just ran into the forest with the needle and thread still in her hand. She arrives there on the bank of the Jamuna with the needle and thread. Another gopi was stirring boiling milk. She heard the sound of Krishna's flute. At once she ran, and the milk boiled over into the fire. She's running through the forest with a spoon in her hand. Another gopi was putting on her kajal, the black eyeliner, on only one eye. But hearing the sound of Krishna's flute, she forgot everything. And immediately she ran there to see the beauty of Sri Krishna. even those gopis, how powerful is the sound of Krishna's flute, how divine, pure is this Rasa Leela, that those gopis who were sadhakas, and they were checked in their homes by their husbands, just by the fire of separation of not being able to go, then everything auspicious and inauspicious was completely burnt, and in bodies which were completely Satchidananda, they also went. And their husbands, so we kept her at home. But they separated, their Satchidananda form came out from that form and ran. Because only Satchidananda forms can go to Rasa. It is completely pure. There is not even the slightest trace, the slightest scent of lust in there. This is Premamoy Lila, pure unconditional loving pastimes. So when Krishna played his flute, many gopis were running. But what happened to Srimati Radhika? You have to deliberate for a moment. What is the state of her love? From her childhood, if she saw a dark rain cloud, she would become stunned, hair standing on end, tears, trembling with sattvic bhavs. If she saw a peacock, she would be attacked by intense sattvic bhavs, becoming stunned, changing colors, the color of her complexion, voice choking. When she sits at home, alone, she has a spurti of Krishna and she starts talking to him. Another she's just babbling incoherently. If someone talks to her, she gives no answer. When no one's talking, then she's answering. What's going on with the daughter of Prishubhanu Maharaj? Does she have an illness? Sometimes she cries and rolls on the ground and throws her ornaments, removes her ornaments and throws them. Thinking, if Krishna cannot see me, if Krishna cannot enjoy me, then what's the use of all these decorations? Sometimes she falls at the feet of one of her Sakhis and begs, oh, please give my pranam to him. In other words, go find him and try to arrange our meeting together. Sometimes Radhika, she starts laughing and seeing her own shadow, which is dark. She sees her own shadow and mistakes that for Krishna and tries to embrace her own shadow. Sometimes she sits and she lowers her face and says, Drishta! You know what Drishta means? So, Drishta. There are different types of heroes. So one kind of hero is called the Anukul hero. That means he always thinks of his beloved. And the thought of another gopi will not even come into his mind. He's fully dedicated to her. He follows around like a shadow and never thinks of anyone else. So that is Anukul. But then you have Dakshina. That means the hero who's very polite, very kind, very loving, his behavior is perfect, but now and then he remembers another heroine. Someone else is in his mind. So it's Dakshina. And then you have Shat. Shat means the hero who is very kind to the face of his beloved. Very polite and his behavior is all perfect. But actually, behind her back he's doing so many nefarious things. So the Shat is two-faced. But then there's the Shat, he tries to hide whatever his wrongdoings are, he hides that very meticulously that he will not get caught. But the Drishta, he is very bold. And he'll just show up at the kunja of his beloved covered in the cosmetics of his previous beloved. And he'll make no attempt to hide it. And then when she, what is this? And she becomes angry. Jahi Madhava, Jahi Keshava Maka, Badakaitava Badam. I don't want to hear your lies. He'll just tell barefaced lies. Oh, what is this red cosmetic on your chest? It was from I was wrestling with my friends. What are these scratches on your body? Oh, I was remembering you and fainted in ecstasy and fell into a rose bush. So the Drishta, he's a barefaced liar. And he's so bold, he doesn't care. He thinks he can talk his way out of anything. Doesn't make an effort to hide, but he'll lie. So Radharani, she's sitting alone and she lowers her face in shame and says, "Oh Drishta, don't disgrace me in front of my Sakhis. Don't embarrass me in front of my friends." So in this way, actually Radharani is not meeting with Krishna, but by the power of her intense love, she sees him in various spurtis and different pastimes. Sometimes he pleases her, sometimes he displeases her, and so she's behaving in that way, in an incoherent way, to those who are seeing her outwardly. So on that night when Krishna played his flute and all gopis were running from various directions with their needles and spoons, then Radhika, when she heard the flute, she also got up and went to run. But as she went to run, her Sakhis, Lalita, Vishaka and others, they blocked her path. Not the parents, the Sakhis. They blocked her path and stopped her from going. Why? Because they thought, look, if Krishna will just play his flute and you drop everything and go running there, then how can we maintain our dignity? Then Krishna just can snap his fingers and you jump. No, 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 no. Because if any heroine is quite submissive, then Lalita gives advice to Radharani. If a heroine is very submissive to whatever Krishna wants, then Krishna very soon loses interest in that person. So the Sakhis, they stop her from going to uphold the dignity of us. Let everyone else go and let Krishna wait. And then afterwards, perhaps we can go. So then, Krishna was there playing his flute on the bank of Jamuna, and all the gopis arrived and he looked at their beauty, and then he noticed that Radharani was not there. So we see in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna instructs the gopis in Dharma, as Purva Mimamsa actually, Karma Kanda, the importance of doing your duties in life and serving your husband and family members and all these things. So Krishna's instructions to them, actually he was just stalling, hoping that if he can stall them for some time, Radharani will finally arrive and then Ras Leela could begin. So Krishna was stalling by giving the gopis instructions in Dharma. But when they heard this, then they became very upset. Maivam vibhoti bhavan gaditam risangsam sanchaja sarva vishayan tava padamulam bhakta bhajasya durvagra macha jasman devo yadari purusho bhajate mamuksham Yad patyupatra suridam anubrittiranga Strinam swadharma iti damat vidata yuktam Astaiva meitad upadesha padetvaishe Pristo bhavanstanubritam kila bandhuratma. O Krishna, it is most improper that you should speak such heartbreaking words to us. We've abandoned all Vishay, all sense gratification to come to your lotus feet. That means that we have not come to your lotus feet for our sense gratification. Because we've abandoned all sense gratification, that means we came only for your pleasure. So the Supreme Lord Narayan, he reciprocates with everyone. Whatever they want, he gives. Muktim dadati karchitsmana bhakti yogam. It is said, Krishna easily gives mukti to someone, but very rarely gives bhakti. So, if someone wants mukti to enter into Brahman, then what benefit does Bhagavan have from that? Right? Someone in this world is doing bhakti, but their goal is to enter into Sayuja Mukti, into Brahman. Then, what benefit does God get? Approximately?
None.
It's a round figure, 0. He has nothing at all. But still, Narayan, he reciprocates with those who want liberation, and he'll grant them that, if that's why they're serving him. So gopis say that we have heard you have qualities like Lord Narayan. Because Gargacharya, he said to Krishna's father when he did Krishna's horoscope in the Nandakirak, in the Goshala in Gokul, Tasman Nandatmajo Yamte Narayana Samoguna, your son will have qualities like Lord Narayan. So gopis are saying, If Lord Narayan even reciprocates with those who have nothing to offer him and have no intention of serving him, then how much more, if you have qualities like Lord Narayan, you should reciprocate with us. We've come not to get anything for ourselves. It's everything just for you. So gopis quarreled with Krishna for some time. They said, "Oh Krishna, only for your happiness, we left our husbands, our children, our family members like vomit. We cannot even bear to remember anything about them. So please, we know what you want." Actually, when gopis are speaking these verses, it's called Pranay Geet. Pranay means when the lover and beloved, their hearts and minds are one. So essentially, gopis, they argue with Krishna, saying, they're crying because thinking, why is Krishna saying these things? Because we know in his heart, he wants to accept us. So why is he being duplicitous? So gopis said, please abandon your duplicity, give up your joking, and accept us. However, because Srimati Radhika was not there, Krishna could not be pacified by their beauty, by their services, by their sweetness. So Krishna said to the gopis, "Oh my dear ones, you all have very deep love for me, so I cannot neglect you in any way. But in the absence of Srimati Radhika, then my heart cannot be satisfied. I feel no relief. So please, you're intelligent, somehow devise a way to bring Srimati Radhika here." So then the gopis, they consulted with each other and they decided to send a messenger to Radhika to persuade Srimati Radhika to accept Krishna and come to meet with him. So they travelled gradually. They came to a very beautiful garden and Radhika was sitting there and she was afflicted because when man is there, actually there's a desire to meet with the beloved. There's a desire to look at the beloved, a desire to embrace the beloved. But there's an emotional obstacle which is stopping that. Dampatya bhava ekatra satorapyanuраktaya swabishta slesha vikshadi virodya mana uchute. When the loved and beloved, they want to see each other, they want to embrace each other, but there's something stopping them, even when they're together. Then this is called man. So Radharani, she's feeling the burning of the arrows of Cupid, but some or other, she's not going. And especially her friends are holding her back, because they want Krishna should wait, otherwise he will not appreciate her fully. Let all the others run and be easily available, but not our Swami. So that messenger travelled through the forest and came to meet with Radharani. She said, "O flower bud in the dynasty of Vrishabhanu Maharaj, it is only by the great fortune, our great fortune, us residents of Braj, that you have taken birth amongst us." So she began to speak very flattering words, beautiful words to Radharani. "For a moment, please just lift up your eyes, glance at me for a moment, and make my life successful. There are many beautiful ladies, all want to serve Krishna. What to speak of human beings? Even Kamala, the goddess of fortune, has left Lord Narayan, abandoned Vaikuntha, and has come to Braj and doing austerities to meet with Krishna and serve him. But see Krishna, he's not accepting anyone, even Lakshmi Devi. Why? Because he's like a bumblebee who only wants to taste the honey of a particular flower. So Krishna now is wandering here and there in great distress because he only is attracted by the fragrance of your lotus feet, not by the fragrance of Chandravali or Bhadra, Shaibya, any other gopi, or even the goddess of fortune. So in this way, that Saki was trying to impress upon Radharani Krishna's faithfulness. That he's not a drishta, he's anukul. This is very important. As followers of Rupa Goswami, if Krishna's drishta, we don't want to serve him. When he becomes Anukul, then we'll serve him. Therefore Rupa Goswami said, Anukul yena Krishnanu shrilanam bhakti uttama. The highest bhakti is serving Krishna when he's Anukul, otherwise we don't want to serve him. So, that messenger, she said to Radharani, Oh Radhika, I want to tell you some secret truths about Krishna. Even great sages who are qualified to see the spiritual world have never been able to touch even one drop of the truths about Krishna that I will now explain to you. Who is this crooked person? That Saki said, Oh Srimati-ji, this boy is composed of pure kama rasa. Not only rasa, there are so many rasas. Shanta, Dasa, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya, and among Madhurya also Swakya. This is not really the Kama Roop. It's Sambandha Roop Bhakti. Krishna is, she said, Krishna is composed of pure Kama Rasa. That means that he's driven entirely by a thirst to enjoy amorous pastimes with the cowherd girls of Braja. So that person who is the condensed embodiment of Kama Rasa, whose every thought and every activity is simply permeated with an intense thirst to enjoy amorous pastimes, that person's called Krishna. This is the meaning of the word Krishna. So, she said, when Krishna is greedy to enjoy, he never goes to Lakshmi Devi or any other goddesses. But rather, what does he do? Krishna's employment. He has no other business, but he every day, on the pretext of taking the cows to graze in the forest, he goes wandering. He sneaks off from his friends, and alone he's wandering in the forest, looking to find a victim. She said, Krishna's searching here and there all the time. And when he discovers some beautiful young gopi in the forest, amusing herself somehow or other, then he watches from a distance and he tries to formulate a cunning plan. He contemplates how he can, through deceit, through tricks, and sometimes just through brute force and aggression, how he can cross over to the farthest shore of the ocean of Cupid with that gopi. So when he sees any gopi hiding in the forest, Krishna's playing in the forest, Krishna's hiding and watching and thinking, what should I do? How can we go on this journey across the ocean of rasa? So then Krishna comes up with a plan. So then that messenger is telling Radharani Krishna's various plans. Sometimes Krishna disguises himself as someone else and goes to the house of that gopi, makes friends with her family members and wins their trust. And then when nobody's aware, he sneaks into the inner chamber of the house and then he enjoys with that gopi. This is one of Krishna's tactics. Sometimes he makes a gopi become completely bewildered and forget who she is by the sound of his flute or by his dancing. Sometimes he disguises himself as that gopi's husband, and the gopi thinks she's meeting with her husband. At last minute she discovers actually it's not her husband. It's Krishna. Sometimes Krishna comes to a gopi and says, you know that now is a very inauspicious astrological influence is coming. And I think this will bode ill for you. You will suffer so much. And when she becomes afraid of the astrological influence, then Krishna will say, but I have a jewel here. If you'll wear it, then you'll be protected. Well then please give it to me. Oh, Krishna says, but there's a price. In this way, he persuades another gopi to meet with him. Sometimes he wins the heart of a gopi by sending a love letter through one of his friends, speaking words of the utmost respect. Sometimes he comes up with a plan that he knows every day a gopi is coming by a particular path. So he'll deliberately go there and leave his flute on the path, knowing that she'll find it. And then when she picks it up and walks away with it, then Krishna will come, accuse her of stealing. And then say, for this crime of stealing, you'll have to have a punishment. So you have a choice. You know, in this world, if you get caught for a crime, either you have to go to jail, or you have to pay a fine, or you have to do community service. Right? So Krishna said, either you have to pay a fine of 200,000 million rupees, so you give a very steep price that's impossible to pay, or you will have to do some service. So in this way, he persuades that gopi to meet with him. Sometimes he sees a gopi picking flowers in the forest and says, I've been deputed, this is the forest of Kamadev, and you're stealing his flowers. So on behalf of King Cupid, I am arresting you and locking you in this jail of this cave of Giriraj Govardhan. Sometimes Krishna just tries to attract the mind of that gopi by challenging her husband to a game of dice, a gambling match. And then he shows his skills, how he can defeat the husband, and in this way gradually turns the mind of that gopi. Sometimes he uses tantra and different kinds of magic spells. You know, there's different types of tantra. One type of tantric mantra is called the Akarshini. And so by that you can make someone, they don't know where they're going, they just get up and wander, and they come and meet with you. So sometimes Krishna does some tantra and magic spells. That gopi said, oh Radhika, sometimes when gopis are bathing in the Jamuna, he steals their clothes and ornaments. Sometimes he dresses up as a demigoddess and he goes to that gopi and does a dramatic performance, a song, a dance, or some juggling. And then when she's completely absorbed in him and bewildered, then he takes off his disguise and meets with that gopi. Sometimes he disguises himself as a boatman in the Jamuna and offers to take a gopi across the Jamuna, but when he gets halfway, then he makes the price very high, demands a very high price or payment in services. So sometimes Krishna disguises himself as a terrifying beast, and when a gopi is walking through the forest, he jumps out and she's terrified and she turns and she runs and she's running, and then Krishna takes off the disguise, quickly runs round in a circle in front of her and says, quickly, you can hide here in this cave, you'll be safe there. And then she runs and she hides in the cave, and then Krishna goes inside and says, you know, it's really fortunate for you today that I just happened to be passing. Otherwise that beast could have killed you. And then gopi says, yes, you're right, you saved my life. I don't know how I can ever repay you. Then Krishna smiles. And in this way, she expresses her gratitude. So, this messenger is telling Radharani how Krishna is the embodiment of Kama Rasa, and he's always looking somewhere to try to fulfill that thirst. She said, but Radhika, is there even one respectable girl in the whole of Gokul with whom Krishna has not enjoyed a secret tryst? But still, his mind remains unsatisfied, completely dissatisfied. Why is that? Radharani is very eager to find out why. The messenger said, the reason is this. One day, Krishna was all alone and sitting in the forest, and he was completely depressed because he thought, after all of these tricks and traps, I'm not satisfied. I'm completely feeling empty. And he lay down at the base of a kadamba tree, and Krishna fell asleep. So then, while Krishna was asleep, he saw you. That means he saw Radhika approaching him in a dream, with her face looking down, very, very shy. And you called out to him, oh Prananath, I only desire your love, I don't desire anything else. So why are you playing with all these other maidens of Braja? and you don't even remember me. So then, when Krishna heard these words in his dream, he began to cry and fell to the ground. And in the dream, when he fell to the ground, then he woke up. And so he was lying alone beneath that Kadamba tree. And when he woke up, he realized his mistake. There's no meaning to my life. My life is empty. Whatever I've done, it never gave me happiness. Because I have neglected the daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj. So that messenger told Radharani, this is how he feels about you. Why don't you go to meet him? He's meditating on you day and night. From the day he had that dream, he's always thinking of you. He's wandering in the forest crying, Radhe 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 Jai 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 Sri Radhe. Oh Vrishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe. Vrishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe. Oh Parama Karunamai Radhe Radhe. Parama Karunamai Radhe Radhe. Vrindavana Vilasi Radhe Radhe. So today, he played on his flute. He was calling you. But incidentally, all the gopis of Braja came to meet him at night on the bank of Jamuna, but he's indifferent to all of them. He doesn't even see them. He's looking through them. He's not even acknowledging their presence. He's just crying, Kwasi Prayasi, Kwasi Prayasi. Where is my beloved? Where are you, my beloved? Even though Chandravali and others petition him with so many sweet words, he doesn't even look in their direction. Krishna does not eat, he does not drink, he's just letting out long sighs. So in this way you should know that in separation from you, Krishna remains completely pure. Tears are flowing from his eyes, and because he's crying, the trees are crying, the birds are crying. The bumblebees are crying. All Vrindavan is sad. Why? Because you won't meet with him. Formidable. This is really seva. Right? It's the service of a Saki to go and represent Krishna's case to Radharani and persuade her. This is seva. And this is seva sadhakaru siddha rupaina chatari. Service in the siddha. So, all Braj is becoming flooded with Krishna's tears. And even Giraj, Govardhan, the stones are melting. So when Radharani heard this, then she became so overwhelmed. She was trembling with a desire at once to go and save Krishna from the pain of separation and make him happy. However, Lalita Saki was there. So Lalita Saki, she stood up and she said to that messenger, Hey Sundari, very beautiful lady, I think it's time for you to leave this place at once. You should go. We've heard enough about the qualities of Krishna, thank you. You can go and tell his glories to those who have no experience of his character, but we know him very well. So we're not buying any of this that you're saying. How are we expected to believe your words when this person is so crooked, he can't even stand up straight, he's always like this. Always tribanga. Everything about Krishna is crooked. His glances are crooked, his words are crooked, his stance is crooked, his jamuna is crooked. So, we think that whatever words he has expressed, words of love he has spoken, this is all pretension. Why? If Krishna really considers that my Saki Radhika is the foremost of all the gopis of Braja, then why doesn't he just stay with her? Why does he disregard her and have pastimes with so many gopis all over Braja? So we've had enough with this cheetah. If Krishna cannot surrender to the standard of loving only my Saki Shrimati Radhika. That's all we're asking. If he cannot be one-pointed to Radhika and only love her, then he let him be hopeless forever and let Radhika also be detached from him. No need of any relationship. So, messenger, go at once to that Krishna who is a Kamuk Muktamani. That means the crest jewel of all lusty persons. And you should make him happy with our words. Our message is this. It is our policy of our group that we only associate with virtuous persons who are capable of undivided attention. So if Krishna were to give undivided attention to Radhika and give no attention to anyone else, then he can associate with us. That is our policy and our final word. Now go. So then that messenger was dismissed and left. The messenger came back to where Krishna was waiting. And when Krishna heard it, he became very desperate. So then he thought up a plan. He dressed as a gopi. He takes some help. Krishna's cousin is Kundalata, so Kundalata helps him with his wardrobe for female clothing. So Krishna was dressed up in a skirt and a veil and choli and all the shringar with pearls and earrings, necklaces, bangles, sindoor on his forehead, everything, as a beautiful sham-colored Saki. And he set off to find Srimati Radhika. Jai CC Radha Govinda Juki Jai. So Radhika was there in that garden, and that beautiful sham-colored gopi was singing the glories of Radhika and dancing, and slowly approached that place. And when she arrived there, she saw Radhika and said, "Aha! Now all my pious deeds have borne fruit today. Because now I have seen you." And he bowed down and touched her lotus feet. "And I have touched your lotus feet. So what will be difficult for me to attain in all the three worlds? Now my life has become successful. Your beauty is such that if anyone sees you dancing, just the rays from your body will cause Lakshmi and Narayan to fall unconscious. So how fortunate I am that I have met with you today, by chance. Because actually, I was doing some service for Krishna. And as I was doing this service on a journey to do some service for Krishna, by chance I have met you. But now I'm seeing you, I've completely forgot all of what I was supposed to do for Krishna. I don't care about Krishna. And I'm not acting on his behalf. Don't think that. But because just being in your presence, I've lost interest in everything else. Nevertheless, I want to share with you a few words that I heard Krishna speaking. Krishna was sitting alone and he was just talking. But in his heart he was thinking of you and he was expressing his heart to you. He said, "O Sumukhi, O girl with a beautiful face, just as water is liquid by nature, so it's your nature to be affectionate. So I cannot understand why you're passing your time enumerating all of my faults. Why would you do that? When I play my flute, I call all the other gopis to come to rasa only to nourish the rasa that I relish with you. They're just like different samag. When we dance, we all dance together, and I'll dance with you. They're just nourishing my pastimes with you. So, don't see fault in me that other gopis have come to meet with you when I play my flute. Just let there be harmony between us and be satisfied." So Krishna's alone and trying to persuade Radharani to forgive him. So then Krishna said, "Sure, I admit it. It's true. I have enjoyed some of the gopis of Praja. But you have to know, the only reason I enjoyed them was because by accident I mistook them for you. I was so absorbed in thinking of you. Whenever I see a gopi, then I see you there. And then I enjoy with her, but as soon as I realize it's actually not you, then I immediately consider her to be truly repulsive and leave her at once. So Krishna, in the form of a gopi, is telling this to Radharani, that he just saw Krishna, that she just saw Krishna, alone in the forest, explaining himself to Radharani. So I admit it, I've met with some gopis, but I just mistook them for you. And sometimes, let me explain. I can explain everything, Srimati Radhika. Don't find fault in me. I have no fault. Sometimes a group of about 5 or 10 gopis, they band together and they grab me and they drag me into a kunj by force. So at that time, always, when I'm meeting with them, a messenger, a young messenger girl, appears there at the kunj and says, "There is only one girl in all of Braj who is suitable for you." And then she disappears. So at that time when I hear that message, I immediately leave them all. In this regard, I am quite renounced. Very strict. I'm very strict about this. Because I feel separation from you. One day I went alone in the forest and I fell asleep beneath a tree. And I saw you in a dream. And you caused me to hear your beautiful name, Sri Radha. And when I heard your name, then and you disappeared, I began to cry and I woke up. And now, since that day, whether I'm awake or whether I'm dreaming, everywhere I look, I see nothing but you before my eyes. This is Krishna's love for him. And so I'm wandering here and there in a bewildered state. And that's why I mistake other gopis for you. This is the reason. You see? You're misunderstanding me. You're thinking that I'm meeting with other gopis because I don't love you so much. But the truth is, I'm meeting with other gopis because I love you too much. Should we believe him or not? No. No. Then Krishna said, when I put my flute to my lips, then my flute sings your glories. That means I'm not actually playing the flute. I just put it to my lips and the flute itself just begins to sing your glories. And that's why I can't stop playing the flute. Because when I hear this sound coming from my flute, which is glorifying you, I become amazed and I want to hear more and more. So my flute is naturally overwhelmed with your qualities and your rasa. So I'm not really calling the other gopis, I'm not even playing it. It's the flute singing by himself and glorifying you. And why is he doing that? Because I feel pain in separation from you, and I know that you feel pain in separation from me, and my flute, being my Sakhi, is trying to bring the two of us together. You know, in Brahma Samhita it says, Bangsi Priya Sakhi. This is the meaning. Why is Bangsi Priya Sakhi? A Sakhi is a friend who brings the hero and heroine together. So Krishna said, my flute is a Sakhi. I'm not playing it. I'm not calling other gopis. The flute is singing your glories to bring us two together. So, but when my flute sings about you, the other gopis become bewildered and come running of their own accord. Why are you blaming me for that? So Krishna is going through all of his faults one by one and explaining how he's blameless. So, you see, I'm naturally compassionate to everyone. So if the other gopis come, what can I do? And you're also very kind and forgiving. But the problem is this. You're surrounded by so many Sakhis who have filled your ears with bad reports and rumors and lies about me. Don't listen. Haribol. Don't listen to them.
There's right in there, Jada. Right in the computer.
Don't listen to Krishna's faults. That's why the mic got out, so no one could listen to Krishna's faults. Let's see. Could have been the battery, maybe the battery, flat battery, yeah? Yes, the battery ran out. So, then that gopi who was Krishna, talking about Krishna sitting alone in a solitary place, she said to Radharani, if you are not soon pleased with Krishna, if you don't soon accept him, then it's certain that he will meet with the ill fate. That means he may pass away. So then, that messenger gopi, who is Krishna himself, he said, after hearing all of these statements, if you want to go to him, then just leave at once. Set out now and go to meet with him. But if you don't want to go and meet with him, then no problem, I don't care. I'm not concerned. Just stay here with me. Krishna always gives people a choice. Because I'll be very happy. I cannot move even an inch from your lotus feet. If you don't want to go, no problem. Just stay with me. So then Radharani, she was very impressed with that gopi. In fact, all the Sakhis around Radharani, when they heard the true explanation of Krishna's intentions, you see, they were thinking he has so many faults, he's so bad. But when they heard the truth, then they all felt bad, they were all crying. Tears were flowing from the eyes of the Sakhis. Radharani said, "O Shamala Gopkishwari, beautiful young gopi with a dark complexion, when I see you, I feel such love for you, just like when I see Krishna. And today, I'm seeing your radiant face for the first time. Where have you been all my life? Why didn't I see you before? I think because today I was meditating on my Shyam-colored Krishna so deeply that because of that, another Shyam-colored friend has come before me. So, I'm asking you," Radharani requested that gopi, "could you just pacify my heart for a moment by wearing some peacock feathers in your hair? And just hold the flute in your hand and stand like this and let me look at you. And that will give me immense relief and great pleasure." So then, Radharani said, "I want to tell you something about Krishna. Even if Krishna were to make millions and millions of transgressions, thousands and thousands of offenses to me, I would still forgive him. Aslisya va padaratam pinashtumam adarshanam ma mahatam karotu va yatha tatha va vidadatu lampato mat pranana tastu sa ivana." Krishna can make me feel so fortunate by embracing, leaving all other gopis and just only embracing me and crushing me in his embrace. Or he may break my heart by never being present before me. He's lampat, he's a debauchee. He can do whatever he likes, but still, he is my prananath, the Lord of my heart, and there is no other. So then, when Radharani spoke these words, someone else revealed these words. When Radharani spoke these words, she immediately threw herself onto that Sakhi and embraced her tightly. And then Radhika and that gopi, they embraced each other. And then Radhika kissed that gopi on the face. And then that gopi kissed her on the face. And then that gopi kissed her on the lips, and Radharani was thinking, what's happening? So then that gopi started to scratch her also. And Radharani thought, what's going on? And then suddenly Krishna removed his veil and everything, and she saw, "Oh, my beloved is here." So then Radharani, she said, "Durtmani, you rascal!" Then Radharani said, she smiled, she said, "Gyatam, gyatam." That means, I already knew all along. She was playing along. When Krishna came in the form of the gopi and was explaining all of these things, and Radharani said, no. Slowly. "Oh, can you put on the flute?" The whole time Radharani knew. But she's so intelligent, she wanted to, put Krishna through the ringer for a few more minutes. You see? Because it said, the Vedas say, Raso Vaisaha. The Supreme Truth, Sri Krishna, is full of rasa. Right? It's well known. However, no one can experience or taste that rasa. Because he's like cane juice. You see? And perhaps you've seen, if you go to Govardhan, if you want cane juice, they have a special crushing machine. Right? There are two wheels, and you put the cane in and you turn it around, and then the juice comes out. So yes, Krishna is Raso Vaisara, the embodiment of rasa. But neither Krishna nor anyone else can taste that rasa unless Krishna is put through the ringer of Radhika's man. Then really everyone can realize how Krishna is Raso Vaisa. So then, now Radha Krishna have come together. Very, very beautiful. Jaya Jaya Radha Krishna Jugala Mila Arati Karaye Lalita Disaki. Oh, glories to the beautiful meeting of the youthful divine couple. At that time, they were very eager to dance in the rasa dance. Various gopis who were expert in musical instruments began to play. The devatas assembled in the sky and they began to dance together. Then when they became tired, somewhat fatigued, Radha and Krishna sat down on a jeweled throne beneath the desire tree. Divyad Brindaranya Kalpadrumadha Srimat Ratnagara Simhasanasto Sri Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prashtavidi Saivimano Smarami. This is the prayer to Radha Govinda. They are the predominating deities of Abhidaya Tattva. I remember engaging Smaran how the Sakhis are serving Radha and Krishna when they're seated on a jeweled golden throne beneath the desire tree. So how are the Sakhis serving at that time? Some Manjaris, maidservants of Radhika, came forward and took the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna and began to massage their feet as they sit together, glancing at each other, sharing joking words. Another Manjari came with a tray with chandan, sandalwood paste. Shama Gauri Ange Divo Chua Chandane Raganda, and began to anoint their dark and fair forms with sandalwood paste. Another Manjari, maidservant of Radhika, took a chamara. Chamaradula Bokabe Haribo Mukha Chanda Gatiya Malati Mala Dibo Dohar Gale. Other maidservants, they took garlands of the jasmine flowers and approached the divine couple, and they were giving them one garland, another garland, another garland. Another, the maidservant came with a tray, and on that tray was tambul. So you know the tambul is, it's a chopped betel leaf, and there's a cardamom, and there's some the coconut, grated coconut, and the juice of the cardia tree, which makes the red, and so many very tasty ingredients are mixed together. Then it's wrapped in a betel leaf into a triangular packet, and then closed with a clove. The clove is like a pin that holds it together. So she had a tray, and there were many different types of tambul on that tray, arranged in groups according to different flavors. So that Manjari came forward with the tray, and she was turning the tray like this, so that Radha and Krishna, they would take one, try that flavor, and then they would take another, and gradually, she was giving the opportunity to Radha and Krishna to taste all the different flavors of the tambul on that tray. Another Manjari was standing there with the golden spittoon, because when you chew tambul, then the saliva starts flowing and mixes with the juice, and you have to... So one Manjari was there with the golden spittoon, and Radha and Krishna were putting their remnants there. Oh, nearby, another gopi was playing on a veena, and others were singing in the Panchama Rag. These are the romantic ragas in which Rishabh and Daivat are the Vajit Swara. You know, Sarigama Padanisa. So Rishabh is Re, and Da is divert. So in that rag in which these two notes are forbidden, this is called Panchama rag, and it is especially to awaken the romantic mood. So some were singing, another maidservant, Manjari, took a parasol that was made from flowers strung together and held the flower parasol above the head of Radha and Krishna. So, as all these services were going on, many maidservants of Radha and Krishna coming forward to render different services, so Radha and Krishna also reciprocating with them. So as more garlands are coming, sometimes Radha and Krishna are taking off their garlands and giving their prasadi garlands to Manjaris. Sometimes they're giving their own chewed tambul also. Sometimes they call a Manjari and whisper some secret into her ear. So in this way, the services to the divine couple are coming to them, and the divine couple also reciprocating with all the maidservants at the same time in different ways. This is Saiva Sadaka Rupena Siddha Rupena Chatra. So when the devotee is here surrendered, serving Gurudev, serving the mission of Gurudev, engaged in hearing and chanting, and the anarthas are cleared, and then the stage of Nishtha comes, and one begins to have the spurti of Krishna's form and qualities. Then the seeds of desire are completely destroyed, Papa Beach. Then one will experience the sweetness of Krishna and his associates. And then in that stage, remembering those associates, once antas chinta binstatat seva upayogi dehina, a body will avirbhav, will make its appearance within, which is just suitable for rendering the desired services. So, Nam, Rup, Gun, Parika, then Seva comes. Seva Sadaka Rupena, Siddha Rupena Chatrahi. And by chanting the holy name while internally serving the divine couple, that service is being manifest by the holy name. It's not that you chant and in your mind you do something else. That's very important to understand. The smaran of internal service is not separate from the name. It is the revelation of the name. Therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that Nava Vida Bhakti Purna Nama Hoite Hoi. All the 9 angas of bhakti, such as offering arti, rendering services, remembering, they're all complete just by chanting the holy name. Navavida Bhakti Purna Nama Hoite Hoi. Everything is complete by chanting. So then, internally one is chanting the holy name, serving the divine couple. This is in the stage of asakti. And by continually being absorbed in that, then the Swarup Shakti is already shining on the heart and illuminating the heart. Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma. This is already from the stage of beginning, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti is already shining. But the chitta has not become one with that vritti yet. But when Asakti becomes very mature, then that Swarup Shakti melts the heart, and now the chitta becomes completely one with the vritti of Swarup Shakti. That's called Bhav. So don't think that there's no realization and then Bhav comes, you get the realization. The Swarup Shakti is already giving realization from Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, but the two are not mixing. So Srila Vishwanath Thakur gives the example of Parad and Gandak. Gandak means sulfur and Parad means mercury. So there's a way of making the black cosmetic kohl for the eyes. You get the Gandak and the Parad, the mercury and the sulfur, and you have to mix them together. But the problem is this, they don't mix. So you have to rub and rub and rub and rub, and you have to rub for a long time, then suddenly they blend and they become another compound. So that's what's happening. Once the anarthas are cleared by Guru Seva, Vaishnav Seva and the preliminary practices of Bhakti, the first 20 which are the Praveshdwara, then by hearing and chanting and remembering produce realization in the stage of Nishtha, Ruchi and Asakti. In those stages, then the Swarup Shakti is like this. But they're not mixing. They're not mixing. And Bhav is the stage where that your chitta and the Swarup Shakti become one. So that is Ruchi bis chitta mastrinya krida sobhavu chitta. Is it clear?
Yes.
Like that. So in this way, the sadhan bhakti tattva in regard to Raganuga bhakti should be understood in this way. So if someone gives you a Siddha Pranali or identity, it doesn't make you qualified. And if someone doesn't give you, it doesn't disqualify you. Because it really, everything depends on the gradual increase of adhikar according to Nam Bhajan. So, but Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur said, when the realizations of one's identity are appearing, at that time you can go to your Bhajan Shiksha Guru and he will confirm and he may also refine as well that. And that is where you see in Jaiva Dharma, where some sadhu is speaking about the name, the form, the cloth, the services to a devotee. It's not that he's giving to a devotee who has no realization, but he's doing what is called upasya pariskriti, refining the conception of one whose realization is already developing. You see? So that's completely different to an anartha-grasta jiva, covered in anartha, attachments and ignorance, and then writing it down on a piece of paper and giving some, whatever generic placebo swarup. Yeah. So that's not the process that's described in Jaiva Dharma. So I hope at the beginning of the class, it was my ambition, it was my desire that if there was anything not clear about the sadhana of Raganuga Bhakti, if there was any confusion, that by the end of this class there should be no confusion, everything should be clear. So I just take a poll, is it clear?
Yes.
Is it clear to everyone?
Yes. Yes.
Yes? Okay. So about 70% success rate. I'll try to do better next time. Gaur Premanande. So we'll